Hello and welcome to EX Dragon Punch, the official podcast of the Ohio fighting game community. I am your host, Shalin Pretzels, and today we have a very special guest for you. Our guest today is a local fighting game player from the city of Cincinnati, Ohio, who is very prominent in our Street Fighter V community. In addition to being one of Ohio's strongest competitors, both in Street Fighter V and various other titles, he is also the former host of the Midwest Movement podcast and has also helped to stream and TO Queen City Fights, as well as a few Dragon Punch Online tournaments. Today's guest, of course, is none other than UltimateVitality. During our conversation, we talked about the return of offline events with the recent conclusion of the Combo Breaker, our thoughts on coaching in the FGC, as well as how fighting games have played a very critical role in Vitality's life, both as a competitor and as a family man. With that out of the way, please enjoy this episode with UltimateVitality. Let's get a little bit of context here. Who are you? And why are you here?
I am UltimateVitality, primarily a Street Fighter V player, but I play literally any and every fighting game. I've been playing fighting games since I was about 4. I can never remember what was my first fighting game, but it's between Soul Edge version B. Yes, I remember the version. MK Trilogy or Super Street Fighter 2, the new challengers for Super Nintendo. It was between those 3 games, or even, no, if I was 4, I was 4 because Tekken Tag 1 hadn't come out yet. That's 2001. So yeah, it was between around there. And I've been playing fighting games literally, as I said, my entire life. I entered the FGC in 2010 with Super, because all it takes is one person to be like, damn, how can I beat this guy? And you look up, and I remember my first YouTube search, and it was because I found out what an ambiguous mix was, and I was like, does Guy from Street Fighter 4 have an ambiguous mix? And then from then on, it started from there. So
The rabbit hole has been entered.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, that's basically me. Like you said, I've helped out with Midwest Movement a tad bit. That was when I was super grinding heavy for content, and just helping people out. But that stuff, I don't want to say that ship has sailed, but I mean, every now and again, I get the urge to do content for Midwest Movement and my own content. But being a dad of 2 is kind of hard, to do everything you want to do. But
it would have been a good opportunity to do a Midwest Movement episode. You recently attended one of the biggest fighting game events of the year, Combo Breaker 2022, and the Midwest, and especially Ohio, was prospering then.
Yeah. Now, a funny thing, I emptied my phone to do exactly that. But it slipped my mind. It completely, because it's my Combo Breaker 2022 was literally like the family reunion of the FGC, because we all haven't seen each other in like essentially 2-3 years.
Right.
And when you're like, and then you're playing on top of that, and then like Sneerful, he was doing photography, that's his job. Mm-hmm. And me, I'm a player, so then when I play, I'm there to play. But then afterwards, I forget. Everything was like, whoop! I'm not doing that recording. I'm doing nothing. I took one video of Combo Breaker. That was day 1. I was like, oh hey, here's the venue, and stopped.
Yeah,
that was it.
I know that the competitor was actually there at Combo Breaker, because he's been slowly working his way back into fighting games lately, and he was able to do like a bit of a blog, but unfortunately he was also having some vehicle issues as well during the event, so a lot of his time that weekend was kind of occupied by that and also Combo Breaker. So would have been nice to see. Basically, now I have to remember, whenever I see any of you guys go to an event, I'm like, all right, did any of you have content ambitions going in advance? Because I might have to remind y'all.
Because I know I definitely was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this one, dude. I'm gonna probably get like maybe 1 or 2 interviews with people, like, because that was also that was Corey's first Combo Breaker, because he got fucking blue balled for like
5 years.
But no, it was a great experience. I hit my goal. I made it out of pools for the first time. at a major event, and I placed 65th.
Let's
And
roll.
before I was gonna do this because this is kind of impromptu. I was gonna stream because Corey recorded my matches with Alex Myers, Delzon, and Pen Knight recorded my last match against Ramasama, and I gained some very very bad news. Not bad news, but fuck it, bad news about that match in particular. Because remember, I was talking about the accidental super, and I
Yeah.
put my hands in my head.
Uh-huh.
So apparently, Ron Masama dropped his combo, and I could have blocked. After that, I was at 10%. I was at like 15%. He hit me with stand fierce and did like eagle spike, and I had yet to watch it, so I don't know if they're trolling. But he hit stand heavy punch and did eagle spike, and it didn't combo, which means I could have blocked. So if I go after this, if I go in there and look and I could have blocked it, I'm going to be so mad because I was so fixated on the whiffed super. Like I don't know how it happened, and then I put like the classic, like oh man, I can't believe this happened, and then I just gave up. Like I admitted defeat because I'm like, oh, it takes anything to kill me.
Yep.
And then I'm actually very eager and also not prepared to watch this because I want to recreate it in like just the super situation in training mode. But if I see that he dropped his combo, oh my god, I don't know what to do with myself. Like my heart's racing.
You best not do that whenever Corey's in the call, because you know what he's going to say.
I know. I know.
Hold down back.
Bruh.
Hold back to block.
I'll be so mad. I'm telling you, if I see that he dropped, I'm gonna be so mad at myself. Because that's rule number 1. Don't ever let go of the stick. And I broke rule number 1. I was so mad.
Well, I would argue it's you letting go of the stick that also led to your whiff super incident. Just based on how you described it to me, it seemed like so give a little bit more context about this whole whiff super situation, because that was not your intended decision at that moment.
So what happened was I watched a little bit of it, but then my anxiety was like, oh my god, I'm reliving the moment, so I stopped watching. So like it's like PTSD. I'm like, no, I don't want to watch it. Yeah, I don't want to watch it. So what happened was he did something and I V shifted and I V broke him. Okay. So then he didn't quick rise, so I did crouch jab, and then I went for store, and then the super came out.
Right.
So I'm gonna go back sometime today and frame by frame and see what happened. I'm thinking maybe like when I did it, maybe I rolled back or something. But again, it's core circle board back twice. Yeah. And I know I went forward. So I need to figure out what happened.
And for context, for people who aren't super familiar with how Jury works in SF5, she has a store mechanic system where she can do core circle forward and one of her kicks, and she gets like a fireball, she gets like a little spin kick, and she gets like this little like flip over kick.
Like overhead kick. Overhead,
air quotes. And somehow, in the midst of doing that motion once to, I'm assuming, get the fireball, Jury's super was activated, which is double core circle back kick. So one has to wonder what's in the SF5 buffer could have determined that was the input that the game thought you wanted.
Something was telling me like I just wanted to add because I know they were in the middle of pools, because I know you can save I'm pretty sure you can save some offline replays if I remember correctly.
I know you can immediately view back the replay of the match you just played, and you can pull up all the inputs and stuff.
Yeah, but I know like they were super deep. Like they were trying to get done. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to ask to rewatch it. La, la, la. Yeah. Man, I was like, I need to know what happened, and I probably would never know unless I frame by frame it when I watch this video.
Yep, you're gonna have to check the frames with a video that's probably 30 FPS.
Oh man, yeah, that was my combo breaker run. I placed 65th. I did a lot better than I thought I was gonna do, but yeah. But my thing was like I went into combo breaker thinking I was like, okay, I want to make it out of pools. I made it out of pools, so I had no plans after that. I was like, you know what? If I lose, I lose. But there's a difference between losing and being okay with it, and then losing the way I lost. I'm like, if I was to like lose to like EXDP, Like, if my store would have came out and he EXDP'd, I'd have been fine. Like, all right, whatever. But then it was the super, and I'm like, there's no way this just happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, help. I was like, oh, and I went like this.
Mans was in agony.
And so it was like I went up and then I went down and I heard boom, boom. And, since I'm not blocking, combos, right?
Yep.
So I just do this. Eyes are still closed. Boom, unplug my stick, get up, hands are shaking, and I'm infuriated. Yeah. So, pain.
Outer Haven pain.
Outer Haven pain.
So at the very least, that was your competitive run. But how was the rest of Combo Breaker? As mentioned, this is probably one of the biggest return events since we've gone through this, I'm going to put air quotes around this, post-COVID phase.
That shit was tight. Listen, I don't know why you couldn't go. That shit Finances, was so tight. You hate it. But
you hate to see it.
But no, it was really dope. Rick always puts on a great event, a great combo breaker every time. And this venue is I even passed by Pheasant Run Resort on my last day. And it's like, man, you hate to see that it's burnt down like that. Mm-hmm. But this venue is super nice. It's super big. And it's like, it's got its own convention hall. It's just a great venue. A lot more roomy. Everyone had, they had their masks on. People were like literally. Yes. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet, but Rick was like, "I can't believe you guys are on time."
Yep.
Like the FGC was on time, like, bro. The FGC
like they legit
was
were not expecting everyone to be so timely, and like they're just trying to get their badge, get in line for events and stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, we were not ready for this.
And what's funny is in my pool, we were an hour early. So when I was about to fight Delzon to get out of my pool, they were deciding on whether or not I'm going to be after Ben to go on stream. So I could have gone on stream, but they were like, no, go ahead and play it out because we were so ahead. So we were like, oh, okay, we'll play it out, I guess. Yep. And, but yeah, other than that, the 5v5, oh my God. Ooh. Brother, I lost my voice. I was not playing no games. Bro, you should listen. I'm not gonna say how much money I bet on it, but Corey and Dan know. But
profit.
It was that I was on the edge of my seat. I think I grabbed Mustaphalis when something happened. I'm like, and I said, Ben, if I grab you, I am so sorry. I knew I had to release something. I had to release some kind of energy because everything was clenched. Muscles, neck, ass, everything was clenched.
You hit my man with a tasty Steve.
Literally. But he was prepared too. He had his hand like this, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna grab so I'm gonna stand up first and then grab him. So I was like, ah! That was dope. The 10v10 Tekken was dope. I didn't really watch everything, but I mean, I stayed because I haven't really caught up with everything.
Right.
Mainly watched Street Fighter. I tried to catch Genesis on stream, but had to do other things because I did bring the missus with me, and you had to go enjoy Chicago and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, I had a great time. I didn't get as drunk as I wanted because I don't think I really got drunk. I was just hype, and so because I wanted to make sure I wasn't drunk for pools, and I kind of didn't want to get drunk for day 2 either. But then after that, I'm like, okay, well now what do I do? But other than that, like I said, it was a great event, dope venue. I bought a lot of stuff, spent an unnecessary amount of money. Mm-hmm. Not just at Combo Breaker, but just just in Chicago in general.
Right.
But yeah, if you're gonna pick a tournament, I highly suggest anyone that watches this, sees this, if you're gonna pick a tournament to go to, your first major, especially if it's your first major, it has to be Combo Breakers. Combo Breaker was my first major in 2016. And yeah, I've gone ever since. And yeah, a lot of growth has happened there.
Yeah, I am definitely happy to see so many people in the Ohio FGC make the trip out to Combo Breaker this year, because one thing that I think some of us have kind of forgotten, a lot of us were also planning to go in 2020, almost the exact same lineup, and even some more people were planning on going in 2020 just because the circumstances lined up for a lot of us. But then the pandemic happened, and then the circumstances did not line up with us. So
Right, yeah. And then I think that kind of stopped, like, just in general, just the pandemic stopped everyone's momentum too. Because like you had like me, like I think 2019 was probably my best year because I was on fire. In 2020 I kind of stagnated because I was focusing on content and all this other stuff. But then I got burnt out because I was like, I can't be a competitor and do content the way I want to because I'm a
right,
like because pretzels know me, I am a perfectionist. I like to if I'm doing bad as a competitor, I want to focus on being a competitor. But
right.
then there I get these days where I'm like, hey, I need to start doing content because I'm streaming and stuff. But I have to focus solely on that, and I can't do everything. Like I said, on top of being a father that works a 9 to 5,
Yep.
so I can't do everything. So I got super burnt out, and I think that's what happened with everyone else too. They got burnt out of playing. They got tired of playing online, and everyone kind of dwindled and stuff. But people stuck around, like me or Mustafali's Core Jam. We all stuck around, and then it's all showing. It's showing now because Corey got 33rd.
Yep.
Literally the most lopsided seed I've ever seen.
It's ridiculous how Mance got away with murder.
Literally just out here, like, yeah, I'm just gonna glide by here real quick.
But yeah, just to give like a little bit of context, like we had like multiple people go for multiple different games. We had like a couple Street Fighter 5 competitors, one very notable Killer Instinct player, one very notable King of Fighters player, and a vast majority of the people who went to Combo Breaker from Ohio made it out of pools and made it not only out of pools but also super far in bracket. Sneerful got top 12 in KI.
He was ninth. He got ninth.
All right. Genesis DC tied for 17th in King of Fighters 15. Corey tying for 33rd. You and Mustafa's getting out of pools. Who got the first position between you and
We tied.
you tied? Because I know you two were in the same pool, and I was like,
Yeah,
man.
we were in the same pool. I was like, if it happens, it's destiny. If it happens, then it's destiny.
I would have loved that got streamed.
But the funny thing is, I didn't like because I don't really know how brackets work. But I've played more games than I think both Corey and Mustafali's. I went 5-2. Ben went 3-2. And I think Corey went 4-2. Because I think that's just the thing where like when you're on your winner side of pools, you're already guaranteed out. So even if you lose, you're already guaranteed to go into the next day. But me, I was fighting for my life. Because I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm like, wait, Corey went 4-2, Mustafali's went 3-2, and I'm like, I looked at my lens too. He went 3-2 as well, and I'm like,
Privilege.
so I'm out here struggling with a better win percentage. I'm kind of mad as hell. Like, what the fuck?
Privilege.
Like, what is going on? Like, why am I not way up there?
Like it depends on like a couple of things. Like it depends on if you get like a bye. It depends on like how early you get knocked into losers. There's a couple things there's a bunch that affect it.
Cause I was gonna say I got sent to losers second round because I had to fight Alex Myers. That was pain, but live and you learn.
Yeah. So as mentioned before, you're a multi-game. I don't want to say specialist, but you're good at the fighting games. But you're most prominently known for Street Fighter 5. Most notably, Jury.
Yeah, that is the bay. I've tried dropping her and I can't do it. I don't know what it is about
It's the
that
feet.
character. No, stop it. I don't group me in with them. Don't group me in with them. I'm not with. But I don't know what is it about Jury because I've always liked the character. When she was introduced in Super, I was like, oh, I want to play that character. But I'm like 14 at the time, 13, maybe even younger. And I'm like, oh, I want to play this character. And I didn't know what negative edge was. I'm like, how do I hold these fireballs? I see people holding this fireball. What do I do? Then someone was like, yeah, you hold the button. And I'm playing on pad. And I'm like, what? I can't do that. So I stuck to playing Guy, then Guy and Yang. Then it turned into Guy, Yang, Sagat. Yes, I played Sagat. But yeah, that's where toward the end of Street Fighter 4, I started playing Sagat. Hence why I don't like people jumping on me. Cause man, but
We have to tell this man to stop DPing sometimes.
very true. Because when I played Seth in season 4 when he first got released, I was told I had a bad habit of DPing because standing hard kick just did it for me. I just couldn't help myself. I just couldn't help myself. But yeah, I played Jury since she released in 5. Went back and played her in 4. Realized how broke she was. I'm like, oh man, this would have been a lot better when I was 13. But played her. I started out as Karen in a timeline. I was a lore main.
Oh,
You would have had 2 of those if I'd have played lore. You would have had 2 of those.
there's also a time where Corey was a Cammy man, and I choose to forget that.
Oh man,
There is a timeline for that. I hate to acknowledge it, but it does exist.
he was always picking top tier too. Ooh, what a tier whore. But when Jury released, she was bad. So I kept playing Karen, and she got better and better and better. Then I eventually dropped Karen like mid season 2, and just chose to stick it out with Jury. And yeah, here I am. I've done a lot with the character. Now I have a pocket Seth, I have a pocket Ibuki, and I also gained a new character that I will not spoil because tired of losing.
It's not the Zeku, is it?
No, I did play Zeku. I played a lot of characters because I was in that phase where I'm like, yeah, I don't like Jerry right now because I'm losing.
Yep.
And then like I said, I played Guy, so I'm like, all right, let me play Zeku, and I do like Zeku. What's funny is you see like how rushed down Guy was in 4. I like playing old more. I actually like playing old more. So I think that just shows my growth as a player. Like I'm not super because in 4 I was super combo heavy. I like seeing the number go up. But now I'm like, yeah, I want to like shut people down, and I don't want people to do anything. I want you to stay way over there and force you to do stuff versus me going up there and risking my life. But yeah, she's in a better spot. And if you all have seen the 5v5, yeah, apparently we need to be nerfed. Yeah, hold that shit, West Coast. But
we ain't getting another patch, so.
But yeah, she's in a very good spot now. She beats most of the mid low tier characters, but can fight the top tiers, some of them. But she's in a, like I said, just again in a great spot, and it took 6 years to get there, which is kind of funny and sad at the same time.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
We can't all be like Cammy or Urian or Rashid or Karen or Luke.
Yeah, just broke all the time. Like, bruh, you have no weaknesses. I hate it here.
We just have to struggle.
Ow, my neck.
Old man.
Shut up.
I mean, you said it yourself. You used to do all this. You used to do all this stuff like the young man Zeku just rushing down all over the place. But now you're like, nah, I'm old. I gotta do the old man things.
Yeah, my knees hurt.
Speaking of things you can't do now because you're old, you have a history in dancing, don't you?
I knew this was coming. Yes, I do have a history in dancing. I was in a little crew from 2009 to 2015. We've done a whole lot in our city. We've been out of town, been in competitions, and then I ventured into. So basically, we went to We've been in places like World of Dance. We've been to Hip Hop International. Been a whole, and those are like the top 2 kind of events. And then I ventured off and kind of did my own thing. So I realized I wanted to be a b-boy, which is like windmills flaring and all that stuff.
Right.
And I've done battles. I've been in 2v2s. I've been in crew battles, and it's been fun. And same thing there. Like I'm not super. Like I may have like a certain like a main style, but I did a whole bunch of styles. So like popping, locking. I was like a footwork kind of guy. So like I did juking. I did a whole bunch of stuff. But like I said, then I went into the cheer world, and their rules are different from like street dance. So then we went on a little season where we literally won damn near every event that we attended because we were that good. and then we went to Worlds in the cheer, and in the cheers circle, that's the biggest like competition. That's like their Capcom Cup. That's
Right.
like their Capcom Cup, and we got top 8. So you make it to day one. Like basically, day one is your pools, and then the next day is the top eight teams will do their same routine, but then try to improve from the last time. They might make minor alterations there, but then we got top 8 and we placed 8th in the world on our first go. So that's when I knew, like, okay, I can kind of make something of myself, whether it be dance or in fighting games. Because around this time, I think MKX had came out, and I was still an online warrior. I knew about my locals, but I couldn't get there. I was still kind of young,
Right.
not young, because 2015 Tristan was born, and that's when I had to grow up essentially. So I had to stop dancing, and when I stopped dancing, I poured more time into fighting games and stuff. Then as I got older, able to drive, do all this other stuff, I started going to locals, started going to events, and here I am now. And I still look at look at dance videos from time to time. Like, you'll catch me, I'll just be sitting there just watching something, and I'm like, yeah, I used to do that. Every now and again, I get the itch to like do something, and sometimes I do. But yeah, asthma is really fucking me up now. That shit is coming back full force every time I try.
Dang.
But yeah, that's what I used to do. And like I said, if I ever lose this gut and get my endurance and stamina back up, I will indeed go back and do it again, because that was the first love of hobbies that I actually poured a lot of time and work into. You know,
Yeah, it's interesting how that's like how like fighting games and dancing were like your like two pivots, and there's like a notable scene for both in Ohio, and that's something I learned whenever I went to Raj back in 2019. Like we had like a really like big like rhythm game scene, and then like I'm assuming it also like extends into just regular competitive dancing in general.
sort of. There's like a little interlap, but most of, like, even like Ryan Hart, so like there's or even Banana Gin, really good dancers in just FG, in the FGC. So one of these days, I was I think I was talking to Jen about this a while ago. We were like, yeah, next event we're gonna have a cipher, and we're gonna see what happens. And that
Snap.
shit would have been fun if it happened at CB, but I guess we were just so caught up in the moment of just seeing everyone again that fuck all that shit.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I used to do, and like I said, I'll probably go back eventually. Maybe.
Eventually, you'll see him on TikTok one day.
No, see, don't do that. I was a Vine guy, Vine Instagram guy.
Oh God.
Uh huh. The OGs.
The whole life just revolves around feet. So the name Ultimate Vitality, where does that come from?
No, you're not just gonna walk by that. It's just, you're not gonna do that. First of all, principles, fuck you. But ultimate. Okay. Oh no, I have to tell this story. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the non-cringe part first. So vitality is that was a word like I really liked, like, because it just sounds like, because it means health and like healthy. I'm not very healthy, but I mean, I promote like people to, like, hey, take care of yourself, do this, do that, and I don't want to see people go or struggle because their health is bad. So I'm like, I'm vitality, and ultimate is my favorite word. Believe it or not, it's like just my favorite word. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
But but so ultimate vitality, and then it just stuck because it's a way better name than Naruto the Ultimate.
Which
That's
was
a
your
better
former
name.
name.
which was my PSN name since 2009, and it's still to this day. And I don't want to change it, because I think if you change it, you lose trophies, and I don't want to do that. So I don't know. So
I
I'm
don't.
just not. I just haven't touched it.
I
So I'm
don't
just not
think
gonna
you
change it.
do, because I changed mine. I was able to keep most of. I think I was able to keep my trophies.
See, I don't see. You don't even know, so that doesn't help
I,
me
I
at all.
don't.
So I
I
have
don't
to
play
keep
on PlayStation anymore. I barely compete. Why do I have to play on
same,
PlayStation if
same,
I ain't competing?
same. Yeah, I don't play on PlayStation anymore either. Fuck it, you can stay that way. I don't care.
I don't like
But yeah,
paying for
that's
PS Plus.
but yeah, that's where the name came from, and yeah, that was the start of the name, and I'm glad I got rid of that other one. Holy fuck, can you imagine?
Well, then you would have just had to just embrace the weeb and just play ninja characters. Instead of playing Karen, you would have been playing Ibuki
Ibuki,
eventually.
yeah,
And then Zeku
yeah.
would have come out and it's like, all right, we just got these two. We can't go anywhere else.
I'd have been an anime PFP on Twitter. I'd have been, man, that's a dark timeline. Holy crap!
Yep.
Don't let me think of that. That's a dark timeline. That's the timeline where Cell killed Trunks. I don't want to see. I don't want to see that timeline at all.
The fighting game multiverse is full of vast possibilities.
And I don't want to see that one. Oh boy, I don't.
So, as far as like competing in fighting games goes, you've been in the scene for quite a bit, and it took you a while to get around to joining the Cincy scene. When did you first start going to locals, and what was that first local experience like?
Okay, so let's start like this. So I first learned about my locals when I was looking up. I said Cincy fighting game tournaments. That's why I looked up on YouTube because we don't Google that shit. We look on YouTube.
Of course.
Uh, so then I'm like, so I'm looking at someone like they were at it was a venue before me. So I'm an OG now because now we're moving into a new venue this year. So I'm an OG.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a second generation OG, and there's a venue before that where they were watching Evo 2010, and they were watching the Gamer B versus Justin Wong match, and it was big, it was hype, and I'm like, I want to go there. So literally, like the next week, I said, "Mom, can I please go to the arcade up in this place?" She
Mm-hmm.
was like, "No, like your grades are bad. No, well, like taking you to an arcade." And I'm like, so then I'm like, all right, let me get my grades up. I got my grades up. Guess what? Still never went.
Damn.
So then come 2015, MKX is released, and I'm playing Kenshi, and I'm driving by this point,
Mm-hmm.
and and I was like, all right, I know one of my a guy I used to know. He didn't introduce me because I knew the local existed, but he was like, hey, we can go there. They go to the college that's here, like Cincinnati State,
Mm-hmm.
and they go on like Wednesdays to play. That's like that's like the secondary day. So I showed up on the secondary day, and I'm seeing all these subs. I'm like, man, I'm actually at a damn local. Holy shit, this is fun.
Yep.
And at the time, I'm the only Kenjutsu Kenshi, so no one knows the matchup. I'm smoking people until I run the patch one. Aaron Black, shit was pain.
Oof.
And then I've been going ever, and then I've been going ever since. And then when I went to the actual like arcade, I see this big arcade. I'm like, I'm in heaven. I'm in a gamer's paradise. I'm like, I finally made it to the FGC. I finally made it. You see what I'm saying? I made it
Yes.
here. And that first local experience was really good. Met everyone. Still friends with them to this day. Met some people fell off. Some new people came, and people realized quick that I like many fighting games, as we all do. Like we all in Cincy, we play a multitude of fighting games. Everyone has their main game,
Mm-hmm.
but we all like multiple games. So like when Street Fighter started dying out, I started playing Tekken. I played Soul Calibur. Um, I played. I was trying to play Grand Blue, but the online was trash. So I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, don't want to dig into that. Um, I started playing VSAV because we have a very like big VSAV scene here.
Mm-hmm.
Most and if I mo- and most of Vampire all of Vampire Arcadia, damn near. I'm just saying most of Vampire Arcadia is located in Cincy. So all those streams that you guys see for retro, that's not art, is our guys.
Yep.
So every time I every like even in this past hamburger, I go in there and see how they're doing, and they're running everything nice and well. And big shout outs to Vampire Arcadia, Zach and Aileris and them. Yeah, good
Yep.
job, guys. You guys are really out here grinding.
Yep.
And yeah, so that's basically what that is. And like I said, I've been going ever since. I was called a community gatekeeper at one point,
Yeah.
which is funny because I played, and I don't think I've seen that guy ever again.
Well, you gate kept him. That's what happened.
Yeah, because we it was at one tournament. I forgot his name, but we were at one tournament, and I entered one game, and we played. I think it was Tekken, and I smoked him. He was like, okay, whatever, GG's. Then we played BB Tag, and I played BB Tag, and we ran to each other again. He's like, "You play this game too?" I'm like, "Yeah," and smoked him.
Bye.
And then he unfortunately joined Street Fighter Five, and
Oh.
it was even worse because he didn't know that was my main game. He's like, "Damn, you really good at this one?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is the one I actually play." He was like, "Man, you're a community gatekeeper. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I see you everywhere." And
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, GG's. Like, I mean, what do you want me to do? Like,
It is
but
what it is.
yeah, most of since we play multiple games, even though we
Hmm.
have our main one. Like, I played Fexel, I played MKX, played MK11,
Yep.
KOF 14, 15, and 13 to a little degree.
To a little degree.
But so yeah, just since 2015, I've been showing up to locals. Hello, boy. Do you want to say hi to the podcast? Think so. Okay, come here. Say hello. All right, go ahead. I'll talk to you in a second. And that is Tristan, everyone, just walking in unprompted.
Yeah. That'll be a video podcast exclusive.
Yeah, it's funny.
I now have to render separate video and audio.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That'll be cool. So Ohio is a very awkward state to travel through. Like all the major cities are like either on the corners of the state or it's jab right in the center. And even then, that center city of Columbus is like 2 hours plus away from like everything else. So how'd you end up finding out about like the greater Ohio FTC at large?
Looked. Dude, I think what happened was I found out because I was in a Facebook group just randomly, Five Frames of Glory, and not allow whatever. So then I found out about this regional called Ground Zero. So that is how I found out about Outer Haven, One Life to
Mm-hmm.
Play, and
Yep.
found essentially you guys.
Right.
And then I went up there, played I was still playing Jerry. I think I got eighth my first time out. That was the year I lost. I was going up there. Remember that? Do you remember that picture I have with my Panthera?
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, that was the only picture I have with that Panthera. So, because on my way to that tournament, I was so nervous and wrecked and hectic because Tristan was a baby at the time, and he was whining. I'm trying to get ready to go, drop him off,
Oh god, I think I remember this
and
story.
I leave my stick on top of the car,
Mm,
and I thought I put it in the car.
mm.
I drive. I don't hear it fall. I don't hear anything. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I drop off Tristan and Amber. I go up to Cleveland, which is a 3.5 hour drive. Look for my stick. I'm like, where's my stick? Call back my apartment complex. They don't see it anywhere, not in the property. And I'm just like, I came all the way out here and I don't have a stick. So I borrowed one of the other Cincy guys' stick because luckily he was up there going for Exert,
Okay.
and he had like a tough spring in his shit. I'm like, oh my god, but that should be fine because he played Johnny. So I mean, fair.
Yeah.
But I'm like, holy crap, and like, I was trying to DP. I was like, God. But that's how I lost my Panthera, and I never got another one again because I just think I'm cursed. So I'm like, whatever.
uh, God, like the
So
the
stuck.
arcade stick fanatic in me dies a little inside every single time I hear that story.
Yeah.
You see, for me,
No.
I'll just like leave a bag of Chipotle on the top of my roof, and it'll be fine. I'll maybe
Mm.
like drive around the corner, and it's like still there. I'm like, oh, all right, let's grab that. But yeah, that sucks.
And I was stuck using my TE2 with the fucked up cord. It was
Mm.
painful when I got back home. I was like, man, this sucks.
The struggle.
Oh man. But that's how I lost. That's how I found out about the scene, and ever since then, I've been in the Outer Haven Discord. I've been playing Core Jam, Big Boots, met Big Boss and Sella, and I've been in there since, and been super helpful a little bit to just the Greater Ohio scene, trying to help players get better, helping you run DPO a little bit, saving one tournament damn near. Yeah, I'm still bringing that up.
I know.
But yeah, and so and I'm just here to help out my basically the community as much as I can. If someone needs help with a game, I'll learn it and help them. Or hey, anyone want games in this obscure game like JoJo Heritage for the Future? I'm like, sure, because I play the game. Yes, I do play that game. Again, I play multiple shits, so I can play anything if I really want to.
Yep.
Like I said, I just want to be just that guy that can be, that can always play anything for anyone at any given point in time.
Some call him the gatekeeper. Others will call him the bracket filler.
The bracket filler.
Because Lord knows sometimes we need him.
Yeah. There's I've always been, every time DPO happens, hey Austin Key, can you enter DPO please? We have like 7 entrants.
We have 7 dudes. We need to get to 8. for no other reason. There's not a prize for anything. We just need to get to 8. It's a nicer number.
I'm like, sure, fuck it. And then as soon as I enter, all of a sudden the Hitman's entering, and I'm like, oh my god, now I gotta try. Like, I don't want to do this.
You see, if you're not there, then there's no competition.
I know. I hate it.
You gotta make a good show for the people.
Because Corey, he enters, and then like towards the end of registration, he'll de-enter.
Yeah, bracket filler.
And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then all of a sudden, I look at like it's like 7 p.m. and I'm like, all right, let me look at the bracket. Hitman.
Yeah.
Sadness.
Yeah,
gets in place every time.
the DPO arc was a very special moment in Ohio's history. And I of course have like a ton of stats for things on like the SF5 end of things, and we'll probably do an episode of the podcast devoted to that at some point. But just real quick, kind of like deviate over to some of your accomplishments with DPO over the course of Dragon Punch Online, which, if you aren't familiar with it, if you're watching this from a platform that isn't the YouTube channel for some reason, Dragon Punch Online was an online tournament series that was initially started in Akron, eventually spread to the entirety of the Ohio FGC. It's just a way to keep people active over the course of the first initial, like, 2 years of the pandemic. And we ran that for 64 events, almost consecutively weekly. And SF5 was like a main game throughout all of it. So out of like the 63 of those 64 times we've run SF, Ultimate Vitality over here has won 3 times.
3 times, okay. I had a feeling it was between 3 or 4.
Yeah. Cincy has like 5 wins. You make up 3 of them, and then the other ones are split between
Hornet? I think Hornet.
Yeah, the other ones are Hornet.
Hell yeah, good shit, Chris. I forgot. That was a goal.
Yeah.
But yeah. So those were fun. I'm gonna say this real quick. I know Pretzel still hates me and Crosscut for taking up all the time in DPO. I think me and Crosscut probably have the most time in DPO because
so much match time.
And he couldn't stand it. He's like, hey, we want, but always says, he always like, oh, I want good Street Fighter. And then we finally give him good Street Fighter, but they go the distance, and he can't stand it. He can't stand it.
Listen, man, Corey's out here trying to get his sweats. He's not being a TO past 10.
So me and Crosscut are like, we're in winners finals. We're last game, last round, playing neutral, running the time, running the clock. We meet up in grand finals. He resets the bracket. Or I reset the bracket, and we're doing the same thing. And then we did a 1st to 7, and it was going the distance. And I could hit the commentary is so funny. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're still going." They're just going back and forth, back and forth. Bet your channel points.
Footsies, Akuma things.
He hated it.
Something feet.
It was the funniest thing in the world. They hated when me and Cross could play. They're like, oh, we're gonna be here forever.
Agony.
But yeah, DPO was a great thing to keep the scene kind of energized, but then slow. Like the first like 3 weeks were really good, but then people started falling off, and then eventually you just had the regulars like me, Core Jam, Chancho, Pen Knight, and
Green
just
Ranger, yeah.
yeah, Green Ranger, Kaiba, Sega Saturn, all those guys. And then I think one time we had Tega, which was weird.
That was for the charity event, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think we opened up for just that one.
Yeah.
So
Because connections outside of Ohio are not always a good thing.
they're not, but at the same time, I mean, we can do a Midwest to East Coast. We can do some East Coast.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it was great. It kept my sword sharp. Burnt us out, really. Like as much as I love DPO and what it's done, it did burn all of us out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking like maybe the every week thing was a kind of a mistake. But maybe if it was a monthly, it would have been better.
Monthly
Or
would have been
every
nice.
2 weeks, or every 2 weeks, maybe just something not every week. You
If
know,
we had started out every 2 weeks, then I think it would have been good because we did eventually make the switch to bi-weekly, and then there was like a bit of like, then there ended
damage
up
was
being
done.
that dynamic of is there DPO this week, is there DPO not this week, and then like that extra low. You're making fighting game players think more outside of bracket, and whenever you have to think,
Right.
whenever you have to make them think more, you start to lose them.
And then by that point, I think everyone was burnt out, and the damage was done by that point. So then we stopped. We stopped hosting them.
Right.
So I mean,
Eh,
things happen.
When the flames settled, only Guilty Gear Strive remained.
Basically, yeah, they blamed everything on the setups.
Yeah. The Ohio FTC knew that they could not control the pandemic, so instead of reflecting on themselves, they blamed the netcode.
Yeah, we definitely did. We definitely did. Like, this game sucks online. We hated it.
Uh,
That was hilarious.
so yeah, so DPO Matchstick Melee Online did a really good job of like just kind of bringing more of the Ohio scene together over the course of the pandemic. But there was also another series that was run during that time, a series that you helped to run.
Oh, God damn, I forgot about this. Holy shit. Oh yeah. Go ahead, say it.
Yeah, in addition to Matchstick Melee and the good old folks at DPO, we also had a series called Queen City Fights, which initially started out as a tournament based around, or at least like started and run by the crew over at Cincy, but then also escalated into a grudge match exhibition series between some of our state's players and some people that they might have a little bit of Twitter beef with.
Yeah. So it started out with as a tournament because I wanted the Cincy folk to have an extra tournament, whatever. So just to have something else, because at that point it was like a nuclear arms race for fucking online tournaments. So everyone had a tournament. Grandma had a tournament. It was mad weird. And and I'm like, all right, I want to do this, and then I realized like, it's just turning into DPO contestants. And I'm like, okay. And this is what now it was me and Headache when Headache was in the FGC like proper. Like he's like in and out, checks in every now and again.
Yeah.
But it was me and him, and he ended up kind of running it more, like running the stream after I taught him, how to like do it or whatever. Then it turned into the grudge matches, and we were like, this works because now we don't have to do it every week. We don't have to do it every 2 weeks. If someone has beef and they want to have a set, they want to have a set, then it's just a not impromptu, but hey, we'll schedule it, boom boom bob, and then grudge match happens. And then we've had Mr. Mustaflis, who was very prominent on the grudge matches because by that point I'm pretty he was trying to prove himself but also try to get more exposure to Queen City Fights and just the grudge matches in general. But he had a whole bunch of scores to settle with like Cody Mayer. There was also like Cruel Onraj. Myself, I only appeared in one. And I think it was mostly Mr. Mustaflis who was in the grudge matches. And I think we had one Laura player. Yeah, Shidoshi Tony was in there once
Mhm.
against Nitrosonic.
Yeah.
And I think the first one was THTB versus Mustapheles. That was the
Mm.
first one. That one was the one with like, I don't want to say actual stakes, but like it had money on the line. I think that was like the
Right. Right.
first. I think that was the first, and I think only one that had like money on the line.
I think so.
But that was like the jump start of it. And ever since then, we've been doing grudge matches. But then it got to the point where, again, everyone is burnt out of playing the game. They don't
Hmm.
really care about their beefs anymore, or
Right.
they're trying to focus on other things. And then, people stopped requesting grudge matches. They stopped watching. And then Headache got burnt out from streaming that much. And then I was super busy with the kids and stuff. Eventually, we just stopped, and we said we were on hiatus. But I mean, I want to probably bring it back maybe in the future because now it's like since offline is becoming back, everyone's returning and trying to do their own, like trying to get back into the competitor mindset.
Hmm.
But just playing online is hard and difficult, especially in Street Fighter Five. We've
Yes.
also done we've done one other grudge match for Soul Calibur 6, but that was between two of our Cincy guys, and we're trying to branch out. I was thinking about branching out, doing other games,
Hmm.
but I will have to see if people will be interested in grudge matches once again,
Yeah.
because I do want to bring it back. Same with the Midwest movement. I want to bring back the podcasts and stuff like that. But it all takes time, and like I said, trying to do all of that for the community, and then on top of my own content like that's a lot to do,
Hmm.
and I don't want to go down that path again of being stretched too thin, trying to do a lot when I can't.
Right.
So, because as much as I like doing a lot of stuff, I like good products too.
Hmm.
So, like, I don't want to have a bad product just because I was able to do it,
Yeah.
Because then that puts I think it looks bad on the scene. Because if I put out a 15-minute podcast, that's not a podcast. It's just, whatever.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation, right? And it's just, you know, And if I do like a grudge match for a first to five, and that's like I'm wasting an hour's worth of stream time just to, do a first to five versus when it could be a first to 10, and I can delve all this time into, and that's just a waste of everyone's time.
Mm.
And that's what I don't want to do.
Yep. We talked before a bit about like some of your initiatives with content. One of the projects that you've done, the Midwest movement, was a project that I took a lot of notes from whenever I was especially forming the like foundation of this podcast especially. What were some of the lessons that you learned from that project, and if you were to go back and revive it, what are some things that you would maybe do different?
Where is my phone? Because I still have my outline for Midwest Movement, the podcast stuff. If I can find my phone, I have like a list of people, list of questions and stuff. So yeah, I have my phone. Um, yeah, I can see actually. Yeah, last edited December 28th of 2021. So I had core jam.
Yep.
I had I had specialist. Um and then I was trying to get a whole bunch of other people. Like I was gonna get Space Cake, Hitman, like Sheena, Dual Kevin, underscore, Big Boss, THTB. THTB, I think he has the longest one actually, because he's been in the scene longer than me.
Mm.
And I wanted to ask, before times.
Yep.
So, and I want to get Comatose as well before he retired. And I want to get Zach in the Box, the founder of Midwest Movement.
Mm.
But also real quick, shout outs to Mike Yaru, rest in peace, my brother. We're sadly we lost Mike Yaru. Be very prominent Midwest guy, super lovable dude. But if this does go on, the podcast, since we're talking about the Midwest movement, I just think it's best to pay my respects to Mike Yaru, and a lot of people even went to Combo Breaker, representing, and even putting I think Mike Yaru, he even got a shout out by Senkola. So
Mm.
there was that. So I've had all those guests on there, and I had like a couple other that was mainly my thing with the Midwest movement. I wanted to just be like the podcast guy, but so much has changed over the years. Like, granted, it is 2022. That was last edited like 7 months, like 8 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But now everything's different because now the topics, like for example, I was going to talk to Space Tech about XO Academy. That's long past. That's
Right.
long. That's how long ago that was.
Mm-hmm. Like I even remember going back to like listening to the podcast that you did with Corey just for researching for an episode that I will eventually get around to doing with him. And just to give you like a quick rundown of some of the topics he talked about, like some things that were mentioned, amateur Street Fighter League, not even like, I think we were on like the eve of the last qualifier. I don't think we even had like the full qualifier set yet. We just got a first announcement for Project L. No gameplay yet. This is far before the gameplay times.
Feels like 6 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
It feels so far away.
Yeah,
It's so long ago. Like, but that's how much has changed since like pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, and it's just, now I want to go back and revise this list because now, like, some people don't play anymore, or like Coma, like even though Comatose doesn't play anymore, like I do want him on the show, because now that he's on the outside, he can like go from his experience, like not now from a competitor, but now from a former competitor, which is, I think, a better insight to because now that it's fresh, I don't say fresh out of his mind, but he has a different perspective on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like just competing in general, maybe he can give a different opinion about when he was playing. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I think it would have been cool to have him on the podcast when he was playing and when he's not playing. But now I'm just gonna have the one. You see what I'm saying? Because then you can see how he differs from then to now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he still calls people's villagers. It's actually still funny. I don't care what it's the funniest way to call someone bad. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do with the Midwest movement. I just wanted to do podcasts, and like I said, I did want to do a sort of Midwest movement like thing for Combo Breaker, but just caught up in the moment, you know. But that's all I really wanted to do with the Midwest movement. That's why I asked Zach in the box, hey, can I do this? Can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
And he said go for it. Just make sure you do this, do that, shield the store or whatever. And yeah, that was again wanting to help out at that point. Now the bigger scope of the community, instead of just, it started with Cincy, then to Ohio, then to the Midwest.
Right.
But again, stretching myself thin, I can't do it all.
Mm-hmm.
So gotta pick and choose what I can do.
Yep. You gotta know where your limits necessarily lie.
And I mean, and you know me, like I don't want to have limits, but I'm human. I gotta stop sometime, because I hated it. Like when I was trying to do all that, I hated myself. Like, man, I gotta record this episode. I gotta start this stream, and that's I gotta edit this video, and that's the worst thing you could ever do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why especially with my last two videos that you so graciously edited, thank you.
I offer editing services. Hit me up on Twitter.
And I was just talking about, like, I was burnt out, but I still like wanted to compete, and I was burnt out from content, but I still wanted to make content. It was just hard for me to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do, but I know I got to put time away to do this specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I want to be a competitor and do content, I know I have to get an editor. I just have to. But if I want to be a content creator, I have to probably take a back seat of competing. And I don't want to do neither.
Right.
I found out that I want to be more of a competitor than a content creator. That just, I want to be a competitor that creates content just every now and again, because I know some people, they like, oh man, I got to get these views, got to get these numbers, got to get this, got to get that.
Numbers.
Yeah, that's how I was. But I'm like, when I made the Dark Ages of Fighting Games video, I realized that maybe I should just make videos to exist,
mm-hmm.
just to have them out.
Yep.
Because that's the most organic way to get videos out. You'll feel a lot freer versus just, I got to hit this on this week, I got to hit this on that week. Because I had a stream like playthrough of Nier Automata, and I still have all those VODs. I got 2 parts up, and I was gonna like every week. Because I was testing myself, see if I could do it like every week, get this video out, get this video out, get this video out, get this video out.
Yep.
And it was like on a Thursday, and I had to get the video out by Friday. I'm like, this might not work, you
Yeah.
know. And so I'm like, all right, then let me just do some stream VODs or whatever, and then just cut them up, like the Brian F style.
Yeah.
And I like doing those because I even said it in that one video where I was like, it's low effort, but you can tell there was time put into it
Mm-hmm.
versus the moldy bagel stuff where there's a lot of effort put into it.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of content I want to be, like that middle ground where like you can see the low effort content where I'm just, all right, I'm just gonna upload this fucking first to 10 and just not do nothing with it,
Right.
or upload this other first to 10 and then edit it where it's like it's consumable and blah 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
or do a whole lot of research and all this other stuff and
Yep.
then do that. That's what I want to be. I want people to see that there's other ways you can do all three and still have your identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if that's what you do, that's what you do. Like if you do high effort, that's what you do. If you only make a video once a year, you make a video once a year if it's high effort.
Right.
If you make 6 videos a month and they're low effort, then that's what you do.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think people can understand whenever they see the content you produce why your schedule is generally how it is. Like people are comfortable with like, okay, I'm gonna edit up this like quick like highlight key moments of the set that I ran with X player, and I can probably get like maybe like 2 or 3 of those up a week if I'm like consistently playing people on stream and just running sets with people all the time. Whereas if you look at something like a Core A gaming video where it's just like, okay, this is probably going to take weeks or months to research. I have to get all this stuff filmed. If I have to interview, I have to probably like fly out to them or have them film something if they're able to film it at the quality that I'm like okay with. And then I had to get all this B-roll footage. I had to do all this and that, and it's just like you get to something at like that level. It's like, yeah, you just take your time and get it out when it's done.
when it gets done, yeah, because that's the thing. Like people, like I said, like I even said, I kind of just regurgitate what I said in that video. Like people want to make the money, but don't want to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, like I've never wanted, like when the pandemic hit, I wanted to make money because I was out of a job,
Right.
and it just, I just like, I was like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, blah 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 blah. But I wasn't making the money, I wasn't getting the views, and I'm just like, well, whatever. So I'm just gonna do what I can, go back to when things get better. I'm gonna find job, whatever, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But then it made me realize that I hated myself doing that because I want to make content that I enjoy, that other people will enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you make something you enjoy, who gives a shit what everybody else got to say?
Right.
Who cares? Because if even as a player, if you're winning, I don't give a fuck. Like you're losing, you don't talk to me, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that. If you're making stuff that you like genuinely like and enjoy, one, you'll be eager to get back to it, and it's not like a chore. It's not a drag. Like right now, I have like 5 things. Like there's like me and Corey played like 3 first to tens like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, but and I'm kind of taking my time editing it because got things you gotta do, and I just don't want to burn myself out again. So I'm taking my time, thinking about even when I'm at work, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cut this, I'm gonna cut that, this.
Yep.
And then when I made the Dark Ages video, after I hit upload, I felt good because I'm like, man, I really just wanted that video to exist only because like people keep talking about the Dark Ages in this particular case. People kept talking about the Dark Ages and like, oh, it's this bad thing when it was just Capcom. It
Yeah.
was just Capcom.
Yeah.
Like, and then the games we all grew up with, like Bloody Roar 3, Bloody Roar 4, VF4, which in my opinion, I don't care what none of you say. Yes, I'm looking at the camera. VF4 has the best training mode tutorial in any fucking fighting game, and I will die on that hill. But
It's also now in Fightcade.
it is
Yes.
good shit. But but yeah, so like games like that, and even the uncommon games like you had fighting games like people love Tenkaichi 3, people play that, and people played Ultimate Ninja. Those kind of games, even though they're not traditional fighting games, they did exist. And then you had T5, T5DR, T6, and Soul Calibur 4, which in fact is my first time playing any fighting game online was Soul Calibur 4.
Mm.
So that's why I'm super competitive now. It's because of my brother, my cousin, and my dad. So Soul Calibur 2, I think Soul Calibur is like my favorite fighting game series, like Soul Calibur and MK, because I have so much nostalgia and so much many memories with that.
Right.
Because believe it or not, my dad played Maxi. That's why I play Maxi, because that kind of carries on through him. So like every time I win with Maxi, it's like a win for my dad. So and stuff like that. And he taught me, like, no, I'm not gonna say he taught me. He forced me to lab. He forced me to lab. Like I was playing Link and Keelik, and I'm like, all right, what does Maxi do? Because he would get like 20-game win streaks on me, and I'm like, all right, nah, what does this character do? Then I ended up playing Maxi, and guess what? He couldn't cope. He couldn't. He could do the mix. He could do the mix, but couldn't stop it. Couldn't cope. It was over at that point. I'm like, yeah, it's over. It's over, bro.
Yay. The future is now, old
Future is
man.
now, man.
So getting back to the topic of doing things that you enjoy.
Yeah. So like, when you do things you enjoy, like even like with dance, like I was like, all right, we gotta do these competitions. We gotta hit it. I didn't get burnt out until like I realized that my work ethic wasn't like a drill, like it wasn't drill sergeant heavy, but you know me, I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go there for exposure. I don't go there to network. That's the one thing I don't like doing, and that's like my problem. I don't like networking because I want like that's just not something I do. I don't like it because when I'm out there to compete, I'm out there to compete. When I'm done competing, I will network. I will do that. But like if I'm there, like let's say if I'm there for 3 days and I compete for all 3 days, I'm never networking.
Right.
Period. But that was like my problem because I was so fixated on winning that people like my teammates were like, we don't like we gotta do this. We gotta get these business cards out and we'll have people come to our workshops. I'm like, I don't care about that. Like we need to practice. Like
Right.
this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And that even stems back into gaming where people are like, hey, you should share your streams more often or share your like throw your merch out there. Like I don't care about the merch. You know, like if people want it, they'll get it. It's
Right.
there. I have the thing. I'm here to practice. You know, like I don't give a shit about none of that. So then, like and then like even then, like it's just like again, like merch store. I just want it to exist. I don't care if people buy anything. I just want it to exist. And then like when you're doing things when you enjoy, like when if you're like if I'm drunk playing the game, that's just a good time in general. Or I'm playing like Kingdom Hearts 2 or something. I'm just having a good time in general. You'll be eager to jump back into it versus just dreading to, oh, I gotta stream Kingdom Hearts or I have to stream Street Fighter today. I have to stream Nier for the YouTube content,
Right.
which is what that was. I genuinely wanted to play Nier Automata, but I did in fact use it for YouTube content.
Mm-hmm.
But I got immersed, so now it's even more of a genuine experience.
Right.
But again, I have to edit all that. So the goal with the Nier was to have a whole bunch of backlog to add, like so I could just have something to do while I'm editing or while I'm bored or something.
Mm-hmm.
But then it got too much because then I started streaming like fighting games I started streaming fighting games more. Then I stopped editing the Nier playthrough. You see how at that point now I have
Yeah.
too much to do.
Right.
So that's where it becomes like, man, I don't want to edit. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when it came to the Dark Ages video, it was just something I wanted to exist. I wanted to make it, and I felt like it needed to like I felt like that particular video for me needed to exist because people kept talking about how bad it was. When again, I'm repeating myself, but it was just Capcom. Namco was making games, all that other stuff. But that's why if there's anything to take away from me, I would say just make stuff that you want to exist. If you think people don't know about, let's say, Dengeki Bunko, if you think there's like some tech you think no one knows about, make it anyway. So what? Who cares? Just make it.
Right.
If you make it to exist, it'll be there. And you can say, yeah, I made it. There it is. Boom boom bop. If you think if you think there's not enough information on your local scene or anything, just make it. Make it. Who cares? No one's gonna be mad at you for making it. No one, like it's for you. It's for your scene or it's for your game. or whatever you want it to be, just make it. If you make it, you'll feel better about not making it versus trying to make a whole bunch of stuff you don't care about. There's a
Right.
difference. Because trying to hit those numbers and you don't hit those numbers, you'll feel defeated and then not want to do it,
Hmm.
which is what happened with me. I didn't hit those numbers and I didn't care anymore because I'm like, all right, what's the point?
Whenever you try to do something creatively, you need to have a mission beyond a metric, if that makes any sense.
Because that's how it usually starts with streaming too. People just think they see Punk or Brian F. They had or Sajam with all these big numbers. They didn't start out like that.
Right.
It's just the fact that Sajam just so happens to be a very prolific and great commentator that then he started streaming. Same with Eris. He was a good player, then he just started streaming and stopped playing fighting games.
Yep.
So, but now again, the difference with that is like people like Yipes, Arturo, Eris, even Ryan Hart, they have that back. They have that legacy, right?
Hmm.
So all their fans are just naturally going to migrate over. Versus someone like me, you, Headache, and all that stuff. It's gonna take a while because we don't have that legacy,
Right.
and we're not top players,
Right. So
right?
we have to build a brand from scratch. Whereas if you are someone who is already notable, that you can just take your existing brand and your existing audience and then bring them to other places.
Or and the way I put it is, I'm not gonna say like Art didn't have a brand, I'm not gonna say that, or I'm not gonna say that Yipes wasn't a brand. What I'm saying is they were players that were good and that are now doing other stuff. So then they turned their name into a brand.
Hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So like, and when he went, let's say Yipes, he went from Evo champion Yipes to the hype commentator and still Evo champ for Marvel 2 Yipes.
Yep.
So there's that thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like we start from scratch. They turned their name into a brand. Just do shit you enjoy. Because if you do shit you enjoy, it feels organic, right? It just feels organic.
There's a video that you produced a while ago breaking down some of the things that you look for whenever you're playing neutral in a fighting game.
Four things to look for in neutral.
Yeah. Like other players at the level that you are at, you're really good at analyzing a given situation and understanding what it is that you have available to you and what it is that you should likely do next. When you're breaking down a given situation, say in like a match review or you're just watching another player as they're actively playing, what are some of the things that you look for?
So let's say if I'm watching a match of mine and showing someone else, like let's say a jury player who's new, wants to learn how to play jury, and I'm showing them this is what you do. There's a difference between what you do as the character and then what you do as the player. So like when I say the four things you look for in neutral, I'm saying as a general. In this case, in that video, it's just a general thing to look for because people can't. Some people can't DP or anti-air consistently. Some people can't check dashes consistently. Some people can't react to fireballs or something consistently. So when you break it down and like if you look at these ranges, depending on where you are to your opponent, there's some things you just don't have to worry about. Like if they're full screen, you don't have to worry about a jump or a dash. You might have to
Right.
worry about a fireball. Well, if you guys are mid-screen close, you have to kind of worry about everything, but you can only focus on, like I said, two things.
Hmm.
At best, two things. But if someone is like, "Hey, Vitality, can you please explain what you do in this situation?" I'm like, "Okay, this is what I do. This is what I look for at the beginning." So like, if we're mid screen, rounds one fight, I walk backwards. He throws fireballs. Okay, he likes to throw fireballs. So in this particular case, the next round start, like even though there's like 90 seconds or 45 seconds in a round, depending on what happens, the next round start, I'm going to jump forward because the first round is always data. It's always data. So if he threw a fireball round start and I chose to walk back and block it, the next time he might just throw another one and I'm just going to jump forward.
Right.
If he DPs me, so what? It's a DP. I don't care. It's the beginning of the round.
Yep.
And then mid game, you're looking to see what he does as what your opponent does as the character, and then what their habits are. If you can beat the character consistently, then you can going into fighting against your opponent. Because people like to blame characters a lot.
Right.
But there's always someone else behind the screen or next to you. Like the characters may be strong, but they're not. In cases they are sometimes unbeatable. I mean, you got unblockables, and you got Yun. You've got fucking ST, but
Right.
but you've got things. There's always a player behind it. So if you can stop them from doing what they want to do and have them go back to their character, then you can break it. You can break them down easy. You just have to realize what you're good at when you're looking at a replay. Realize what you're good at and try to do that all the time. Right? If I'm good at anti-air DPs, I always want you to jump, but you can exploit that, which means I'm always looking at the sky, which means you can dash at me, right? You always want to be able to know what you're good at and know what that weakness may entace. Like may like, start. So like if you're always looking at the sky, they might just dash at you. Now your ground game has to be on point. Now, if I'm watching someone else's replay, again, I always start with the character. Like, okay, you're not doing this combo right. You're not punishing this. Hey, punish this. This is -4. But then if I'm noticing a bad habit, hey, you have the life lead. Don't tech. You're in the corner. Just take the throw. Or, he has V trigger. Start paying attention to the V trigger. Like you can see he wants to activate so bad. He's sweeping all over the place.
Right.
But it's all about a case by case basis, and it all kind of depends on what that person is also asking for. Like, are they asking to look at this match to see what they did wrong, what their opponent did right, or are they looking to see just how the matchup works in general, what they should look for in the matchup? So if someone says, hey, I'm a poison player, what should I do? And I'm not a poison player, but I fought against a lot of poisons. I fought some of the best poisons. And everyone has like that general game plan as poison. So I may not be super profound with the character, but I can say, hey, you should crouching medium punch to anti-air, crouching medium punch, cartwheel for the side switch if you're in the corner or something, or for Oki.
Yep.
And if it's a good matchup, like, I'll just say press fierce, crouch fierce, stuff like that. But if they say, hey, what am I doing wrong? Why did this guy just come back, like just do this big comeback on me and still, like, let's say he's playing poison still, which is the same example. Then I'll say, okay, by the time he got V-trigger, he started sweeping, or he started doing a whole lot of, let me say, common V-trigger activation routes. So, like, let's say Bison, slide, or crouch, or down forward fierce, right? Or roundhouse. You have to tell them that, hey, he's doing this, that's his win condition, which means you're probably beating him, but when he activates his win condition, you fold. So what you should do is practice against the win condition, like focus on practicing against the win condition so you know what to do, but also learn how to avoid the win condition. Because if you neutral, let's say he's just sliding, if you just neutral jump it because he wants to activate, punish. You just neutral jump, boom, he's dead.
Yep.
So again, it all depends on the character, what that player wants from me analyzing the replay, and basically just what I see. So like, you don't want to overload someone on so much information, right? Because like they just want to know, what do I do against this V-trigger scenario? You're not going to talk about why you're attacking here, So you just fast forward. Well, you watch it, and then you go to the area where they struggle with. You say that, but then you go back. Like, hey, also, you could have not teched here, or you should have punished this. This is -4.
Right.
You know what I mean? You always tell them what they're asking for first, and then if they want more, you go back and tell them what they should be working on or what they could be working on better.
Right.
That's how I do things.
And you did touch on a really important point here. As you progressively get to like a higher and higher level of play, it becomes less about really focusing on like getting your game plan out there, but also knowing what situations you need to avoid encountering.
Because when you learn how to, we all know Street Fighter V. We all know that these games nowadays, they have comeback mechanics, and you gotta learn to avoid them. That's basically it. It's basically like once you get them down to 40% health, you know that they're looking for it. Like, I gotta make this highlight reel. Alex's are gonna do it. That's what they're gonna do.
Yep.
Once you get to the point of, okay, V triggers are in the game. Let's just use V trigger as an example. V triggers are in the game. I can't avoid them. Like they're just gonna be there, but let me avoid them. Let me learn how to avoid them. See
Right.
that? See what I'm saying? Like you can't avoid them because they're in the game, but you can avoid them because they're avoidable.
Right.
And then, like I said, there's the whole player aspect, right? Like if that's what I said. Like when you get your game plan started and they can't stop it, why stop?
Right.
Nothing to change.
Yep.
But if you're struggling against their playstyle or what they're doing, then you have to reevaluate how to adapt. Think about what you're like, how you need to adapt. Like if I realize I can't DP Cammy, just gonna block. I'm like, okay, let me just start blocking versus trying to DP this dive kick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just stuff like that. And then because going back and watching, like I said earlier, going back and watching replays, it's painful. It sucks because you don't want to see yourself lose. But also, when you are watching your replays, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, everyone does this. I should have done this. I should have done that. Oh, I could have punished this, or I should have V shifted this. There's always that what if, right?
Yeah.
But when you take that into but when you look at it, watch that replay again, and when you look at it, think about all the things you did right. Like if you struggle to anti-air and you anti-aired 18 times, that's a W. You know, that's a big dub. Take those.
Yep.
And if you threw 6 times and they didn't tech, boom, all right, we take those.
We take those.
It's just some things you have to realize. Everyone looks at when they lose, they don't realize the wins they made in that match. It's more than just you losing, because if you knock their health down to 10%, you did play the game. You did. But if you get washed, I mean, some things just happen. You know, this is how it is.
Right.
But always be super open to other people's criticisms. And so I know some people can be rough. I'm rough. I'm one of those people that are like, man, why are you attacking here? You know, I'm one of those. Like, I like dude, just jump like. And then like Pretzels. I'm gonna say this. Pretzels is the perfect example. Pretzels' offense is jump roundhouse, jab, and throw. Or like dog. Or like brother in Christ, please jab, crouch, medium punch, something for God's sakes.
Too much online. It just works. It just works.
It just works. But no, that's what I'm saying. Like stuff like that. Like I'm not gonna be super. Oh, you need to do this. You need to do that. No, I'm like I may meme about it. Like man, why are you throwing too much? Why are you doing this? But I want people to get better, and I want them to know that I'm like, hey, I want to help. But some people can't take criticism well because you're not Idom or Zaffarino or
Right.
Rob.
Right.
They see you as just some other streamer who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You just have to be open. If someone tells you you should be doing this, should be doing that, try it. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Maybe that's not the play style you want to play. Or maybe that's not the character you want to play. Or maybe that streamer was just not the person qualified for you. You know?
Right.
That's why I make when I make videos like those, I try to make them as generic as possible because those things are universal.
Right.
Right? Like dashing, jumping, stuff people struggle to deal with in the first place.
Yep. You want to make it applicable not only to just like multiple people, multiple characters, but also multiple games as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're seeing a good rise of more prominent people in the scene reach out to coaching platforms like Metafy. Like if you were at Common Breaker, it was all over the place. Have you ever looked into possibly doing like some coaching in the FGC? Because you've done a lot of coaching like within the scene with like some of our like up and coming players.
Well, my thing is like when around season 3 is when I opened up to coaching because I didn't like the idea of coaching and paying someone to do it because we live in a world now, especially with FGC, where most, if not all of our information is available.
Mm-hmm.
So like if there's anything you need to look up, just look it up. Like if it's frame data or there's like the Footsie's handbook, great read, stuff like that. But at the same time, like I said, come season 3 of Street Fighter, I realized that, I'm not necessarily like I started asking people, hey, what am I doing wrong? Because you hit that plateau. So I understand if you need that extra push, yes, get coaching. I don't want to charge people for coaching. I just don't want to do that because granted, if the opportunity arose, I would take it. Like if they say, hey, we want you to coach these collegiate students, and have them play Street Fighter for like 6 months, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, and I'll take that. Versus going on Medify and being like, yeah, I'm charging $20 an hour for this that, because my thing is I'm not that good, so I don't think I should charge. I'm good enough. I have a good idea of how to play the game. I've been playing it forever. I've been playing fighting games forever. I have a good game sense. But at the same time, I'm not someone like Zaffarino, right? So like
Right.
I can see someone like Zaf charging for coaching. Someone like Perfect Legend charging for coaching.
Right.
If Yipes wanted to charge coaching for Marvel 2, I wouldn't be surprised. But if someone like me or you charge for coaching, they're gonna at that point. That's what I was saying. Like that point, they're gonna ask, well, who the hell are you and what are your credentials,
Right.
right? Because if I'm gonna say, oh hey, I got out of pools at Calibur, you're like, okay, what did you win? I won a few locals. I don't care. Like I mean, like maybe your locals are bad and you're
Right.
bad, you know.
Right.
Even say like they even Sajam. If Sajam wanted to charge people for coaching because he has game sense and he watches a lot of games, he can, but he doesn't. You
Right.
know, and that's just me. I don't want to charge for coaching because I'm not at the top level, and I don't want to pretend that I am either. So I feel like if I do charge people, that's robbing someone of their like they could be learning something else from something better from someone else,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there's always going to be someone better. But right now, it's not me. I'm not that someone better.
Right.
Just someone good enough. So like, if you're at that level where you're good enough, you at that point you want people to come in and play your game. So you might want to start coaching or getting people to play your game.
Right.
But like I said, I don't want to charge people for coaching. But like, if the opportunity arose, I would take it. There's a difference between coaching people between sessions and coaching people at an event, right?
Right.
Because some people just need that extra push, like, okay, you got this. Hey, you got this. Hey, do this, do that. Watch out for this. Watch out for that. There's a difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's motivation. That's inspiration to help you get better or help you stay focused, right?
Right.
Stuff like that is why I don't. I choose not to charge for coaching because, like I said, everything's available, and there's someone better than me. There's a whole lot of people better than me
Right.
that are offering coaching services, right? But if someone asks, I'll say, hey, this is what you do, or this is what you should do,
Yep.
because I'm just a guy. I want to help people play my character and play the game. That's just what I do.
There's certain skills where like things are documented, things are written out, and even just moving beyond like fighting games and esports for a moment. I think music is like a really good example where like a lot of like techniques and things you could learn as a musician are very well documented. We have like centuries of like knowledge at our fingertips whenever it comes to like getting better as a musician. But even still, once you get to like a certain skill level, and if you're trying to go pro as being a musician, then there is like that extra like minute benefit of having additional coaching to help push you to execute some of these more advanced techniques that you would not really have super great grasp of whenever you're initially learning them, but having someone there right next to you to kind of guide you through the process, I think is like a really prominent thing. And in a field as competitive as like being a professional creative, that little extra edge is like the difference between like making it and just being a starving artist, essentially.
Right, and that's why I say like I don't mind. Like I used to shit on people for getting coaching. I'm like, you're getting coaching? Like, what? That's stupid. Like, why are you paying someone that you could just look up? You know. But then I realized that I was like later on I was eating my own words when I was asking someone like Cayman, who I've been friends with forever,
Right.
great jury player, and I've been asking him for years, hey, what am I doing wrong? What is this? What am I doing? And then I'm like, one day I just realized, like, man, like Cayman's not necessarily coaching me, but he's giving me advice to go to the next step.
Yep.
And in the same vein, that is what a coach does.
Yep. It helps to expedite the process as opposed to like just you learning things on your own.
Right, because there's like everyone hits a plateau. Because some people like I got the platinum not knowing how to shimmy. When you reach that next step, like you know what shimmying is, but you don't know how to incorporate it. Like you said, that next skill, right, or that next level of thinking. So then when you get there, you're like, okay, you're struggling because now you're losing points or you're losing a lot more. You're like, because I'm trying to shimmy, like blah 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 blah. But because now you're focused on just shimmying, you're not playing your game anymore. So then when you have that coach, you're like, hey, you're you're shimmying, which is good, but sometimes they won't fall for it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then your mind starts turning like, okay, well, what should I do, you know? And then when you get to diamond, super diamond, after you've learned how to shimmy, now you're learning how to delay tag, delay mash, not do nothing.
Right.
It's just one of those things where like coaches may help you expedite the process, but you have to figure out why you need coaching. Because sometimes people just want coaching because they want to just, oh, this is what you got to do,
Right.
right? But then not put in any work. Like, why am I not progressing? Like you said, well, you only play 2 hours, like you only play 1 hour a day,
Yep.
and you get mad when you lose one set. That doesn't help anything,
Right.
right? And when you start realizing what you do, what you want to do as a player, then you can realize what your problems are and your weaknesses are. Because that's mainly what you're trying to avoid, people trying to find out your weakness or your weaknesses or exploit them.
Right.
That's what you're trying to do in a fighting game, trying to not let people find out, hey, he's the latex. Because some people, they'll see it, like I'll see it. If I see that every time I do a meaty jab, every time I do another jab or another button, you stand up, that means you're delay teching.
Yep.
But again, I didn't think to see that until someone told me if they stand up, they're teching or walking backwards,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not going to find that out on your own unless you are watching, there's a video on it that explains it really well,
Yep.
or someone of that level tells you.
Yep.
So that's just one of those things. Like I said, I don't mind coaching. It does help some people, but only in the aspect of seeing the game in a different light. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like people who are telling people who are paying people. I'm not gonna say I don't like people. I don't like it when people are paying for coaching for surface level things.
Mm-hmm.
So like stuff like, hey, this is that, this is this. When you're paying for coaching to find out your next level, then it's different, right?
Right.
Like if I'm telling a Go player, hey, now that you know how to do these combos, now you need to learn how to frame trap, right? But again, to us, that's surface. Like to higher level players, that's surface level again,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a very low level thing, but to them, that's the next step.
Right.
Now, again, I wouldn't mind. Like I don't want to charge someone for that because it's something I already know, you know. But again, people want to pay for their time. People want to be paid for their time, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter how minute or small it is.
Right.
But stuff like that, I can agree with, whatever. Or even like I said, just helping someone control their mental. Like if someone gives me a replay and I can tell they're tilted, like hey, you should probably have someone in your corner or be in a Discord call and say someone needs to tell you, hey, you got to calm down. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's what you guys did to me when I was in DPO running. I was literally pissed off because I was losing to a certain someone,
Yep.
and I'm just like, I calmed down and I won and I felt good. Said he was ass, shit like that. But
Right. There's a video for
yeah, it's funny. But
that.
I've opened up to coaching because I understand how much it does help. But I still have like that. You shouldn't really. I'm not gonna say you don't need it. A person doesn't need it, but if you desire to be coached, if you feel like that will help you,
Right.
I won't. I'm not gonna object. Not like I used to anyway.
Right. Because in some cases people need that like extra person on the side to like hold them accountable and like get
Hmm.
them to keep consistently practicing, get them to keep consistently playing. And you see that in multiple fields as well.
Well, yeah, because like if you're doing jump in, jab, and throw pretzels, stop doing jump in, jab, throw, do something else. And then when you do it, I'm like, all right, thank God. It took 5 games to get here, but holy shit, you did it.
Yee.
But it's just stuff like that when if you're holding that person accountable it helps because it's frustrating. Like, oh, I don't know how to change my style. Just do it.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. If you lose, you lose. Going back to that thing I said, if you do it and you do it right, it's a dub. Even if your opponent didn't fall for it,
Yep.
You did it. You're starting to establish your own game plan, right? Because when you first start out, you have your own game plan, and then you find someone that you might like watching, right? Like if I was an Akuma player, I'd watch that. Then you copy the play style,
Yep.
but you're not knowing why they're doing things. You just know what they're doing is good.
Right.
So then when you get to a point where you need to start learning how things work and why they're doing things,
Mm-hmm.
then the game becomes like, okay, what do I do? I know this worked, but now it's not. You see what I'm saying? How
Yep.
like someone explain this to me,
Right.
right? And that's where the coach comes in.
Yep. Think about it like having a training partner at the gym. You're both there. You have like set days of the week that you will both meet up with each other at the gym to just go ahead, work out. You'll both push yourselves through your routine. And if you end up pushing yourself a little bit too far, then they're there to cover for you.
Right, and it's like, hey, like finish a set, you got it. Then they see like if you're 2 weeks in the session, right? If you're doing better than last year, not last year, but if you're like doing better than last week, they're not gonna help you. They just want to see if you can do it. Since they see you doing better, this is what you struggled on. But let's say you stopped at 5 reps, but now you're on 7 and you're struggling. They want to see if you can finish those last 3 to see if you can actually push yourself without relying on them.
Right.
And then if you do it, boom, dub, easy. You feel great. You will
Right.
probably throw up after that session, but you will feel great. But if they still need like, oh man, I need help, then boom, okay, boom, you need help, but you did it. Hey, you did 3 more than you did last week, so that's a step in the right direction,
Right.
and so on and so forth. That's how that works. But coaching is cool. I have no issues with coaching anymore. What I do have an issue with though
Uh-oh.
is people who think they're nice and they're not. So like you're trying to tell them like about their bad habits and they just refuse to listen. It's like, hey, like and especially in like a friend group or like even someone in a like someone like I've had this issue before where someone was like, hey, can you look at this replay? And I said, sure. I'm telling them, hey, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Oh, well, Just the Kid doesn't do this. Clegg Madness doesn't do this.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, well, you see this now? Now that's the battle of three different ideologies: is Clegg, me, or Just the Kid. So like, I'm like, well, they do this because this is what they're good at. This is what I'm good at. 'Cause this is the playstyle that I prefer. You
Mm-hmm.
can do it that way if you wish. But then he's like, oh well, I've had so much success doing it, but I just don't know why it doesn't work on this character or this player. And I'm telling them why, like if I'm seeing the inputs or whatever, and I'm telling them why, and they're just refusing to hear it, then I'm like, all right, then I can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden I'm the one who doesn't know what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
And that makes me mad because there's like even though I don't know every character, I know like you should do this, you should do this. I know what a good pilot of the character looks like at least.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say you're doing something wrong or you shouldn't be doing this because it's a bad habit and you will get exploited for it, I'm not all of a sudden, oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bro. Like what are
Right.
you talking about? I'm like, yeah, you're like you don't play this character. But I'm like, oh yeah, but if you do Honda headbutt full screen and I DP and you're asking why can't you get in, that's the problem. And then I get mad and start calling people bad. And then all of a sudden I'm the bad guy. Then I'm the bad guy, you know.
And
Pretzels,
suddenly I'm the toxic villain.
Pretzels has seen it. You can ask him. Ask him, viewers. Ask him. He's seen it. I've coached people and people don't like it. And I'm like, all right, we'll stay bad.
It has happened. Sometimes it happens on stream, and I'm the mod in the chat. I'm the mod in the chat, just holding the streamer on a leash. It's like, all right, just bring it back in.
Because I'm like, all right, well, if you don't like what I have to say, then I'm just gonna ban you. And Pretzels is like, no, just time him out for 10 minutes. He's fine. I'm like, Brett, like let him go, kill him. This is one thing I can't stand. It's just people who are like, they ask for help, but then don't want to hear it for some reason. Like that's just that
Yeah.
rubs me the wrong way.
And I think whenever you actually get into coaching, I think people are at least a little bit more receptive to advice just because they're paying for you to
They're
help
paying
them.
for it. Hmm.
So you get more higher quality people that you're helping in that regard as opposed to just giving out free advice, which is an argument for coaching.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah, so You've made it out of pools. You've done the things. You've been a reasonably accomplished player in the Ohio FTC. Some would argue you're in the Ohio top five.
Oh boy.
That layer of the Ohio FTC iceberg of the Ohio top five, which I will probably talk with some multiple people about that later on. But one of your more prominent achievements over these like past couple years, especially over the Street Fighter 5 years, has been you making it through Amateur Street Fighter League.
Mhm.
We've said things in pieces in the private spaces of the Discords. I think you previously mentioned it before you qualified, but not really much has really been said on your whole experience with Amateur Street Fighter League. So tell me a bit about your perspective.
Um. Okay. In short, I'm gonna do a long explanation, but in short, great experience, great opportunity, terrible execution, terrible execution, because we were at a point where we had a different. Holy shit, we had two different net codes. So, god damn,
Mm.
that feels so long ago.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
that was a hot minute. So for those who need
And
context, there was a patch that was done, a fan
two,
patch. There were two.
two.
That's right. There were two fan patches. There was a fan patch that was released early 2020 that a fan made to fix Street Fighter V's netcode. The catch is that Street Fighter V is not a game that's PC exclusive. It is also available on the PlayStation 4, and that game has crossplay. So if you were playing with the PC version of the patch, your experience was good and the rollback was fixed, but you're dumping all the additional delay onto your opponent on PS4 and also on people who don't have the patch downloaded on PC.
Pain.
And to make matters worse, there was also a forked edit of that other patch.
Yeah. And but yeah, so that aside, it's just that what I mean by great opportunity, it allowed players who weren't in Street Fighter League proper to get their shine.
Right.
So people like Hitman, Brutus, Mylin, Tega, myself, Core Jam, all that, and all those other players, they were finally able to like, hey, we can be a part of this league and represent our state essentially,
Mm-hmm.
or our community in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Which is a great opportunity for anyone,
Yeah.
because people would love to say I put my state or my community on my back, or blah blah blah. That's good pride and good, like, it makes people rally with you, like, oh, like, it's Team Cleveland versus team let's say Maine or something. I don't forgot the teams, but it's like all that stuff, right? So that's good. A great idea, because as like I said, it gives those players a chance while also shedding light to those communities.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I was in Street Fighter League, I got invited by the great Joe Monday for RSF podcast.
Yep.
And I thought that was the coolest shit ever. Like, even though we were just talking, I thought that was cool. I'm like, oh my God, I got invited to RSF. I'm about to make it. I'm Hollywood. Where's my contract? I need it now.
Hollywood.
But all that aside, but again, because now it's putting that exposure of not only myself, but Ohio or my team or whatever. Because now it's getting eyes.
Right.
And by terrible execution, this is the bad part. We, as Ohioans, like Pretzel said earlier, we had to meet at one central location
Yep.
to play online
Yep.
on PS4
Yep.
against two netcodes.
Yep.
Not fun.
Hmm.
And the drive for me was about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yep.
For some of them, they were like 45 minutes. I think for Corey, it was about 2 hours,
It's 2
two and a
hours.
half.
Yeah. Akron to Columbus.
Now, in this particular case, behind the scenes, some people would stay with some members of the community or the teammates, right? They would stay there for the night and then go back up tomorrow.
Yep.
Me, I had to show up day of, play, then leave to go back to work the next day. So that shit sucked.
It was a grind, and not the good kind.
And then it got to the point where like I missed 1 week because I was sick, and that was when the Team New York kind of controversy came from. Either way, that shit doesn't matter. It's in the past. It was a great opportunity, a great idea. I do believe now that offline is coming back, they should do it in a more viable scenario setting,
Mm-hmm.
because now most of us now are on PC. And at
Yep.
this point, there is no other patch, there is no other thing, whatever. And now we have the training mode mod where it'll change stages randomly or whatever to the training stage. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
But and they use that for online tournaments. Don't let Capcom lie to you. They are using that for online tournaments. But that's cool, and now we can all play in a very decent kind of connection, even if it's like me and Cayman. Like Cayman's from Canada, so we have spotty connections at times. But if we were to go back and play Team Canada now, it wouldn't be as bad because everyone would pick training stage, and the mod would do it for us, and we would have an okayish connection between all of us, and we wouldn't have to drive to one central location
Right.
to play on laggy PS4 between two netcodes. It just wasn't a good time for that. But great idea, and I do think it should come back. To be honest,
We've definitely seen it over the course of Street Fighter V's lifetime. Just Capcom experimenting with multiple different organizations, just trying to get, or just trying out different formats, seeing what really sticks. Obviously, they've had the Capcom Pro Tour since the start of Street Fighter V, going back into the Street Fighter 4 days, just taking what they have from there and just bringing it in for SF5. Esports ready right from the start. They've also done it, team initiatives, not only just professionally with the Pro Street Fighter League, but amateur through Super League, Collegiate Street Fighter League through Collegiate Star League. And then they've also done smaller community-based tournaments through ESL, which is actually how I got my start with competing. They used to run like Swiss tournaments with SF5, and now they're doing PS4 community tournaments with Sony, and those have only become a little bit more prominent with their integration with Evo. I could see them potentially trying to dive back into doing more community-oriented team stuff with SF5 and especially SF6.
yeah, and especially now because like they added a team battle function so it could just work.
Mm-hmm.
But also now we've had the amazing. I was there. I was yelling the amazing 5v5 where just a kid literally buried the West Coast. But we have the 5v5 from that. We have Stack Bradford running the stream team battle
Yep.
consistently, and it's
Mm-hmm.
really good. It's got like players of all different kinds of skill levels, from like rookie to Grand Ultimate to Warlord.
Yep.
It's really great team bonding experience, or just to get people who don't really play each other often.
Yep.
Like for example, Brian F. He uploaded a video about his run through the tournament. So someone or most of them were Brian F. fans, and they were on his team.
Right.
So now they're getting that I don't want to say free, but they're getting that chance to get coaching from Brian F. just for being on his team or being able to chat with Brian.
Yep.
Like yes, like he's a prolific player. Yes, they're top players or high level players or pro players, whatever you want to call them. At the same time, he's still a guy. He's not gonna help his team lose by not speaking. So but people get they get that little stardom or whatever, like, oh my god, it's Brian F, we're on his team, blah, blah, blah. But stuff like that, it gives people a chance to connect with people who they think they would never talk to or interact with, right?
Right.
If there was to be like a character team battle, I know for sure it'd be like, or like a character team battle, it'd be like just a kid, Giyu, Clegg, ASAP Rabito, or Cayman, Heretic Magic Man. You see, like you would have like those players who kind of like some interact with each other, some don't. Or like for example, when we did the round table or stuff like that, right?
Right.
People we don't really interact with each other like that. Like I haven't really talked to Shine until that day. You know what I'm saying? So like stuff like that. When you start integrating the community into your events instead of just tournaments, like if you could do like a team tournament, that would be great. Because I'm not gonna lie, team tournaments are a lot more captivating to watch because it's a team. Even if it's just even at the end of the day, it's not like it's Call of Duty or CS:GO, right? Where everyone's talking to each other. You're still going up there by yourself, playing your game. But now
Right.
you have people in your corner to help you. This goes back into the coaching thing.
Right.
In that sense, you have people in your corner to help you. And then it makes it that much easier when you're in an environment like you're in the Midwest and you're from the West Coast and we're screaming, you play Luke, and shit like that. It makes it feel that shit was funny. I'm sorry.
It was
But
hilarious.
but it's just when you're in that environment, you get that buff. Like, yeah, I'm in the Midwest. They got my back, blah, blah, blah. I'm putting the coast on the back, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Or
Right.
I'm showing that my character's great, that kind of shit, right?
Right.
So it's like, I feel like we should start doing more of those, at least for Street Fighter V on its way out. Like, on its way out, we should do more team tournaments. Because I feel like in a team setting, we've done traditional, like, tournaments for so long. But I do think, like, even with Tekken, they're starting to do more team tournaments only because they're more captivating to watch for spectators.
Yep.
And it puts everyone together. Like, if you like, oh, I'm gonna bet this on this. Like, I'm gonna do this, do that. I want this team to win. I want this team to win. It starts that conversation. It builds up the hype, and it makes whatever event or exhibition, whatever it is, it makes it that much better because there's a lot of people talking about it, right? So even like stream team battle, when people go watch it, it's only like about like maybe 100 or 200 people watch it, but that's enough people to, man, this is happening, blah, 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 blah. Or it might get people to go actually attend to try and get on the team.
Right.
I think Rob held a team tournament, not a team tournament, but he held a tournament for his teammates, or someone held a tournament for their teammates. And he was like, if you, like, I'll run a gold tournament, a platinum tournament, or a diamond tournament, whatever, right? He ran something like that, or someone did. And it was a good idea because then it shows, like, not only are you getting the communities themselves together, at least in terms of whoever did that tournament, you're turning your community into, like, a battleground. Then you can watch your community who won in something else.
Right.
So now you're like, okay, I may not have won, but I do want them to win. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're bringing one stream channel into another. So like I think that's just a dope idea. That's why I think team battles should be more prominent. At least even in games that are going out the door, like Tekken 7,
Yep.
Street Fighter 5, they should be more prominent. Like when you run traditional tournaments for so long, eventually you're like, okay, well, we know we're gonna see Luke, we know we're gonna see this, we know we're gonna see that.
Right.
Versus you get the other. If it's on a team, you get the other side of it, where it's like, okay, we know we're gonna see Luke, but we know that this person beats Luke easy, or not easy, but beats Luke fights Luke very well. In the case with, again, the 5v5, right?
Yep.
Just a kid did his thing, and that's just more captivating to watch.
Yep.
On a spectator, and it's just, you feel as a competitor in the team, you feel like your adrenaline's pumping more. You're more focused. You have a goal, because now it's like, even if there's money or not, your pride's on the line because you don't want to let your team down.
Right. I definitely think that in a traditional 1v1 competitive genre, just bringing in that extra team element to it brings something new to the experience that we just aren't used to in general.
Right.
And with all the different like variations of like the team style that we've seen over the years, it makes it all the more interesting. You could have the Waseda style that like Street Fighter League does, where you can like ban a character across both teams. You have like a coach who decides what order that everyone is like running in. So it's like, okay, now we have to like, not only do we have to worry about like specific characters, but we have an order select to deal with as well.
Yep.
And that adds like a certain like dramatic component to it. So it's like, oh, who are they going to run first? Who are they going to have? Where they're gonna have go up against so and so and stuff like that, and I think it just makes fighting games a lot more interesting, and like especially appeals to people from other games who are used to working in teams with other people. Just seeing these other competition formats being like, yeah, I could see me doing this with like some of the homies.
Right, and it's like one of those things where like now there's the other, like you brought in like who's gonna put on what. It brings that extra mind game because now it's outside of the game.
Right.
So that'd be Pen Night. Right, that's a good matchup for Jury, but then they bring Hitman. Like, it's a bad matchup for Jury, but also a bad matchup for Vitality because he has never beaten them.
Right.
So then, you see what I'm saying? So then, like, okay, I lose, but then, like, okay, do we want to send out Core Jam now because we know Core Jam and Hitman are kind of even or whatever the case may be,
Right.
or do we wait to keep, or do we wait and keep Core Jam anchor?
Right.
Right. So it's like one of those things like that. Now it's outside of the game. Now there's like man, what do we want to do? This, that, and the third.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's just more interesting to watch, especially for games that are like that are their lifespan's over.
Yep.
You know, like at that point.
Yep.
That's why I think if we had like MKX, I love watching that game. If we had MKX team tournaments, holy crap,
Yep.
that would be kind of tight. I'm not gonna lie to you, that would be kind of tight.
Yep. I definitely think more team stuff, more like even like something as simple as like doing doubles for like certain games. Like if you were to do like the tag mode in like MK9 or in
Yeah.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I even saw during Combo Breaker they had a doubles bracket for the mystery tournament,
Yeah,
which sounds insane.
that is. But then like the thing with the actual Street Fighter League was that they put bans on characters. So at that point in time, I think that was a like, oh yes, you don't want to see like eight Seths, right? You don't
Right.
want to see eight Seths
Right.
because we saw eight Seths in Street Fighter in Seth Fighter League at the time,
Hmm.
and but at the same time, you're handicapping your players because of that limitation. Because at
Mm-hmm.
that point, people only had one character, and you were forcing them to play different characters.
Right.
Which in a competitor standpoint, right? Like, yeah, you would want to have a pocket character for your bad matchups,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, you got people who only play the one character, or they
Yep.
may have a side character just that they play with for fun.
Yep. The classic example being IDOM season 1 or part
Yep.
1 of season 1, I guess, when we didn't have poison yet. This was like pre-Evo of that year. So we had to learn Birdie on the side.
Yeah, and that limitation right there should not be forced. You know, it should be like, okay, if you play at your strongest because you're just nerfing because like you're getting rid of one character, you're getting rid of one player essentially.
Right.
But if you come out like I said, let's say Idom, like we're in today, like let's say Idom goes up and beats, let's say, I don't know, Stupendous or something, right? So he goes up and beats Stupendous, but then he runs into, let's say, Art. You know, he's not gonna pick Laura. I mean, he would pick Laura, right? But I mean, let's say he runs into someone else. He beats Art. Let's say he runs into fucking Stack, Akuma. You pick Poison. Then you're like, okay, now we're seeing the switch. You see, because now you're seeing blah blah blah.
Yep.
But forcing them to play that one character or banning that character a character for like the bad matchups, it's kind of not a good idea. But but especially at that time because like no one had I'm not saying no one had secondaries, but it's like we were in a volatile kind of season anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then Seth, right? Seth was
Yep.
strong, so everyone had a pocket Seth.
Right.
So it's either you deal with their main or you ban Seth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I personally don't like that dynamic about Street Fighter League. I'm so glad they didn't do it for amateur Street Fighter League because that would have been trash.
Yeah. They definitely use the other team leagues to kind of experiment with the team format just a little bit.
Right, but I think just having the option of like, okay, who was he going to use? Because now everyone has a side character at this point. Everyone has a pocket Luke at this point. Like we all know we're cheating, but just team tournaments are such a different breath of life into a 1v1 kind of thing. Because like I said, you're up there by yourself. You're playing the game on your own, but you have people in your corner saying you can do it, do this, do that, do this, do that, and you have your community also aside of you cheering you on or hoping you do good.
Yeah. So yeah, just to round things out, you are a father.
Yes, I am.
So has the next generation of the Vitality line shown an interest in fighting games, and how's that look so far?
Yes. Amber likes to play MK. Yes, Tristan. Speaking of devil, all right, go ahead, boy. Amber likes to play MK. She does play Street Fighter with me at times. She plays Laura, which is funny. Um,
Always haunted.
Always haunted by the Laura. When Tristan, he doesn't really play fighting games, but when he does play Street Fighter, I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. You want to know why?
Does he
Go
also
ahead.
does he also play jury?
No, he doesn't play Jury. I'll give you two more guesses.
Oh God. Well, based on who we talked about so far, it's gotta be like maybe a bison or like
Bison.
can't be Luke. It just can't
It's not.
be.
No, it's not Luke. No, it's not Luke. He gravitated to Geef. Yeah.
Why are we training the next generation of fighting game players to play grapplers?
They're the future, man. I don't know what it
It's
is.
Harper. It's
That's why
God.
Harper did gravitate. That's why Harper did gravitate to Geef too. Oh my god.
Ugh.
Don't know what it is about big sweaty men in spandex.
I think my two strongest kids also move into grapplers. Oh God.
Sucks here. But Tristan, like he also plays when we go to the arcade, he runs straight to Akatsuki, which is weird. And yeah, I don't know if you've seen my tweet when we were playing one day, but he hit me with a frame trap, and I was kind of pissed. I was like I know he did it on accident, but like he did like 5B, like no he did like 5A into crouch B, or no no he did like 5A into 2B, like as like a round finishing stagger. Like he delayed the shit out of it too, and I was like, all right, I'm a press KO. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, wait a minute. Like, no, that's not how this works. And I'm like, what are you doing, bruv? And yeah, Amber also likes Tekken too. She plays I want to say Master Raven.
Mm.
Don't remember. She's been a while since she's played Master. But she in MK she plays Katana. I'm talking about you. I'm not asking for you. She's looking you over here.
He's like, why do you keep saying my name?
I know, right? But yeah, so they like playing fighting games with me and with each other. But we'll wait and see. Like I started playing fighting games since I was 4. Amber's 10. Tristan's 7. So we'll see. They do support me when I play. Like when they see me on stream or in the tournament, they're like, "Oh my god, you're playing." And sometimes Tristan is like, yeah, I'm gonna press this button while you're trying to do a game-winning combo," and I'm like, "All right, brother, like leave me alone." But yeah, they've shown interest, but not as much of an interest as I did, because when I grew up, fighting games were basically like that was me and my family's way of like playing together. Like we played T5, played Tekken 4, played everything basically. That's all. I'm not gonna say that's all we had, but
Right.
when my cousin came over and my brother came over, we that's what we played. Or when my uncle came over, he brought Tekken Tag, and that's when I learned how to play Tekken. Essentially, I think I was the first one to learn how to juggle. 'Cause I played Law. I did back 1-2-1, and then I did like 3-4-3. That was like the Vitality baby combo in Tekken Tag 1, and that's what I would do. And I think I actually. Oh, speaking of Tekken 4, we all know about Jin's Just Frame Laser Scraper.
Yes.
So when I learned how to lab, right, I started using training mode as like to like practice combos. I like combos because it's like I see a number go up, it goes boo, you
Yep.
know. So then when I learned, I was like, okay, he has this blue move. Let me see if I can stop it. Like, let me see if I can make it come out faster. Like, just to see if I can just make, like, if I see one blue spark and just let go. I accidentally learned how to do Just Frame Laser Scraper.
Mm.
So then when I come back and find out years later that that was an actual thing, I'm like, because I didn't know it was unblockable, right? I
Right.
just thought, whatever. Because normally if it says unblockable for Tekken, it just has the exclamation point. I'm thinking it's just like, oh, heavy hit. So now that I know what it means, I'm like, okay, so it is unblockable. But then when I seen people were actively using it, I'm like, oh, I was broken. I'm like, oh, I learned something all on my own because I just want to see if I can get it out faster, you know. And I'm like, wow, like that shit was. I'm like, because no people will take their fighting game skills and go forward, right?
Right.
They don't go backwards,
Right.
you know. So like, I think that's a good thing too. If you learn how to play, if you come into the FGC and you get better as a player, go back to those games you used to play. You'll appreciate them more
Mm-hmm.
because then you're like, oh, okay, this is how this game played. Oh, this is how this game played.
Right.
Because I went back and played T5, and after knowing how to Korean backdash, brother, I was on skates. I'm like, oh my god, this feels so good. Like Tekken 7 sucks. I was like, why are we playing this game? But no, it's just jokes. But yeah, but like I want them, like my kids, since we're going back on topic, I want them to play fighting games. I kind of want them to get into the FGC, but at the same time, as a parent, I want them to do what they want to do. You never want to just impose stuff on your kids. You don't want
Right.
to, because then they'll do something they don't like.
Right.
So like right now, Amber wants to play soccer. You know, that's what she's gonna, and that's what she wants to do. So I'm gonna let her play soccer. If she wants to play video games, sure. Tristan wants to fucking, I don't know, be Tristan. I actually don't know what he wants to do. He does like indulge in YouTube content. So like, like the Markipliers or the FGTVs. So he may end up wanting to be a content creator or just, a gamer who just likes watching people play games or stuff like that. So when he gets there, like, hey, can I get a $3,000 computer with a 4090? I'm like, no, but you can get this 2080 I got, but
I think it still works.
I'm pretty sure it still works. But stuff like that, like I'll wait to see what they want to do. Because of, like I said, I've taken Amber to locals and she's competed. It was pretty funny. She got a game off my friend because they happened to meet up in bracket. So as she was like he let her win, but I was like as she was winning, I'm like, oh, she whooping your ass. Oh, get a boop boop boop. I'm like, damn. I'm just talking that shit. But like that's the kind of support you want. Like if you want your kids to be doing what you're doing, you have to support them in what they also want to do for themselves. So if they want to play fighting games. Fuck it. We can play fighting games together as a family because that's what I did,
Right.
and that's how I got in here in the first place. Because like I said, I brought up my dad a lot. My dad was very good at fighting games. He was one of those I play by feel kind of guys.
Mm.
Really, really good at MK. He knew like glitch jabs and like some like combos with Scorpion. Yeah, my dad was a beast. My dad was a beast. He knew how to he you know how back in the day they would say priority.
Yeah.
He knew about all that shit. He knew about the how DPs were invincible, but he just said, oh, that just beats the Hadoken. That has more priority over Hadoken.
Oh snap.
That's what I'm saying. Like my dad is kind of like, I wouldn't say he's the reason I'm in the FGC, but he's the reason I like fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
So then come Street Fighter 4, me and my cousin, we played that game heavy online because now we don't have to be next to each other.
Right.
So he's the reason I'm in the FGC because he was that next person I wanted to beat.
Right.
So now like my dad seeing me play fighting games. He's like, yeah, nah, I see you out here, mate. You're doing your thing. You're making money on the streaming thing. I told you start doing that. Old niggas. I told you start doing that shit earlier. Blah blah blah. This that and the third. And my cousin's like, man, like I used to beat you up now. Like now. Because my cousin was really good too. He played Gen. Like he knew mix-ups. Like he didn't know frame data,
Okay.
but he knew like he knew how the game played. He knew like what a frame trap was. He knew like how to focus attack. He knew like sham combos. Shit was kind of ridiculous. But then he was like, "Yeah, I used to beat you, or we used to go back and forth. Now I can't even touch you. I'm afraid to play you."
Nice.
But again, the reason why fighting games are so near and dear to me, since we're talking about family, is because of that. It's because of my family. My family owned a bowling alley, and like my mom's side, my grandparents, they owned a bowling alley, and Soul Edge version B was in like the little back arcade room. And that's where I spent every time I was up there, I would throw a quarter in there and play. And I think that's where like my love for fighting games came from, was because of Soul Edge being in my family's. See, so I'll come back together in my family's bowling alley. Then I go home and play my family in console games. Later on, I would learn how to beat my cousin because I learned like a guy mix up or a guy setup. And then that's what taught me, you know, how to adapt and stuff. My dad taught me, not taught me, but forced me to lab Maxi and Soul Calibur 2. And now here I am. And if my kids want to play fighting games, if that's what they want to do, we'll play together and they will learn just like me. Like we play together first, if that's what they want to do. You know, we learn together first, and then they'll go into it in the same kind of direction that I did, like not just naturally. But if that's not what they want to do, I'm not gonna force them to, hey, hit these buttons. No, don't do that. 'Cause that's not good. But I want them to learn fighting games if they want to, or anything they want as organic as possible. I want it to be fun first, because to be fair, fighting games are still fun to me, but I think I've forgotten what it's like to be that kid that is learning how to play. Because we all have that honeymoon phase when a new game comes out. We're learning, we're finding the gold rush to find all the tech,
Yep.
all stuff. That's good. But then when we all get to the point as competitors, or just FGC in general, we get to that point where like, man, now we're getting to the point where the meta is starting to get defined. We're thinking of it like that, like the meta is getting defined versus, hey, I'm just gonna do this really fast blue spark laser scraper, this punch from Jin, and I'm just gonna hit you with 1, 2, 3, and that's how that works.
We just break it down to a science.
And now it's like I'm kind of forgot how to be that kid, which is not a bad thing, because of it you grow older as a competitor or anything. Eventually, you're just gonna start skipping steps,
Right.
because there's no need to go through that anymore.
Right.
But like I said, if that's what the kids want to do, I'll let them. If they don't, fuck it. He's just not gonna He's just not gonna delay stagger me in Akatsuki again. What the fuck? Not doing that.
And then the cycle repeats.
Shit.
I do want to thank you for your time. This has been a really nice interview. Just kind of like get a little bit more context into Ohio's toxic feet-loving jury player.
You stopped calling me. I can take the Ohio toxic. You take the feet loving out, please. Don't loop me in with this, please. I know it comes with the territory, but Jesus, come on, bro.
You play a character with kicks. It's just the territory. We don't.
Okay,
We don't have the statue in frame either, which is very unfortunate.
Oh yeah, the statue was downstairs. I'm mad that shit broke. I'm so upset.
It broke?
Yes. Tristan was running in and out of the room. It was on my dresser, and he bumped it, and all I heard was, I'm like, there's no shot. It's still fine, but her arm's fucked. It's fucked.
I'm surprised I even fell. You said that thing was pretty freaking heavy.
It is heavy, but this dresser is wobbly.
Oh, yeah. See, you gotta go to IKEA. Get yourself a new dresser.
Yeah, I should. I should actually get me like a little stand, like a little shoe stand or something, and start putting stuff on that I have. But
Hey, you gotta use that. You gotta use that FGC Twitch money and get yourself a new dresser.
oh my, okay, pops. All right.
Yeah.
God, I hate it. That's the funny thing too. I love telling. I like it when I tell my family, yeah, I make money playing video games and fighting games. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh hey, I borrowed $200. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, oh, I'm not like that. Wait a minute, like, what's the guy? I'm barely winning out here.
I got a pool. That doesn't mean I'm making money. I'm still net negative on this trip.
I'm still that negative. What do you mean? I got a better number, but I'm not winning anything. I don't have any money.
We're not like these big YouTubers boxing each other for money, and it's like,
boxing each other for money. Sock 'em rock and roll.
that is like a thing that's been going on in like the YouTuber and even like the TikTok space of just like creators just like boxing each other for charity and stuff. If you were to box someone in the FGC, who would you choose and why?
Hold on, wait. I feel like this is a call out. Wait, I'm not gonna answer this. I'm not gonna box anyone. Now I can tell you who I can tell you who I won't box. I can tell you. You said just in the FGC or just in Ohio or just in Ohio?
In the FGC.
I'm just be real. I am not boxing Hitman. I'm not.
No,
I'm
actually, hell no.
I'm not doing that.
I've seen that man box. You do not want to do
that. I'm like, there's no shot. Like, nah, I'm done. Cooked.
Hell no.
I'm not doing that. Hitman is a G. Oh man.
All right, so where can the people find Mr. Ultimate Vitality, because your name is different everywhere?
It's the same. Well, it's just the one. It's just the Twitter. It's just the Twitter that's different.
And
Anyway,
Twitch, technically.
fair, whatever. But you can find me on Twitter at DaRealQuazi, DarealQuazi. You can follow me on Twitch at AL_Ultimate Vitality. You can follow me on, subscribe to me on YouTube at Ultimate Vitality. Pretty sure that's about that's all I really have in terms of socials go. Um, I have a merch store that you could buy merch from if you guys want. Again, I don't really shill it. It's just there that it exists. I also, since you are here, I did do this earlier before the podcast. I was gonna do this before I started streaming. I'm running a summer sale until about September, where I think the hoodies and stuff are like gonna be like $13 off. So you can follow the store at merch.streamelements.com/AL_Ultimate Vitality. And I have blankets, I have now bucket hats, shirt. I have two kind of design shirts, two designs hoodies. Tank tops are back up, and stickers. Two designs of coffee mugs, and I think you guys should get the blanket. The blanket is probably it's the most expensive thing, but that blanket is really comfortable. It's not big, it's not long, not like a comforter. It's like a minky
Yeah.
kind of blanket.
Yeah.
It's really good. I love it. Love it. But that's about everything else I can chill for. But yeah, follow Pretzels because that's the homie. And I need you guys to flood his comments with stop doing jump in, jab, throw. Start doing other
And
things.
yeah. All right, so thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the EX Dragon Punch podcast. I have been Shallon Pretzels, joined by my guest, Mr. Ultimate Vitality, and I will see you guys in the next episode.
See you.